The frustration that Jimmy displayed. Cornpop. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Without me, that's
Behold, pale horse. I'd pay $5 to see Jimmy Dore body slam a disagreeable guest. Just saying. LOL.
What the fuck?
Not denounce your use of the R word to. I reject
Trump called Kamala that, and I almost was going to vote for him because he said that. The best thing he's ever said. That's the best thing Trump's ever said when he said that about Kamala Harris.
Where did I put those jokes? For the. Are you not feeling good today? What's the matter? What you got? Oh yeah. Okay, ready? Guess what? You know Letitia James, who ran on prosecuting Trump and then lied and said she didn't, and then she did a lawfare prosecution against Trump, saying that he inflated the value of his property, and he took advantage of the banks,
who made a huge profit.
Who made a huge profit. His loan was repaid, and there was no victim. Right?
Also, he didn't inflate this property.
So this
he didn't do that.
He did what every real estate agent does in the world.
Check the listings. Check the listings in the area. You'll see that's standard practice.
So the judges are having no patience with Letitia James, her prosecution, because now it's on appeal.
Do they hate women?
So watch this. Watch this. This is the appellate court. It's been appealed, and they got it away from that pedo judge, and they got it to a real judge. Watch this.
May it please the court, Judith Vale for the New York Attorney General's office. All of the defendants repeatedly violated...
Ms. Vale, can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction that was between equally sophisticated partners, where the supposed victim had the ability and legal obligation to discover the allegedly misrepresented matters by conducting its own due diligence, where the supposed wrongdoer advised the supposed victim through written disclaimers to conduct its own due diligence and to draw its own conclusions, where the alleged misrepresentation almost entirely concerned inherently subjective valuations of properties and businesses.
Yes.
And where the victim never complained about any fraud in the transactional losses from it. Because I've gone through the cases which you've cited, and all of them always involved the consumer protection aspect. It involved protection of the market.
Oh, several responses.
And I want to add to his question, and little to no impact.
So I just want to explain what he just said. So what he said to the woman representing Letitia James in the state of New York: have you ever done anything like this before? Have you ever interfered in a private transaction of equally sophisticated people, parties, where the one party has a duty to do their due diligence and check out to see if what the other person is saying is correct? They have the bank, meaning the bank has to hire their own people, have to do their own they do that. That's as a matter of the business course. That's just what you have to do. You have to, when you're getting into a real estate deal like this, you hire your own experts, you go out, you assess the property value. So that's what he's saying. He's saying, have you ever interfered in a case like this between two private entities where they're both as equally sophisticated? The one has done their due diligence and there's no victim. Nobody's complaining about it. The people, the banks all made money. They want to do business with Trump again. So that's what he's asking. He's asking it in a legal way that's kind of hard to understand. But then there's one more judge says, I want to piggyback. I want to say something else about this.
Several responses.
And I want to add to his question, and little to no impact on the public market.
And this had no impact. This financial transaction, unlike what Jon Stewart tried to pretend, this didn't hurt anybody else. It didn't affect the market. Didn't affect anything. Have you ever brought a case like this? That's what they're asking. And the answer, of course, is no.
I guess you shouldn't DEI your lawfare, huh?
Yeah. So here's another part of this.
Back to Justice Moulton's point about line drawing, because I do think that is very important in this case. You know the history of this statute. It's passed under then AG Javits, and then was really amplified by AG Lefkowitz over the years. And when I went back and read the bill jackets, the common thread was always we need greater power. The AG needs greater powers as the people's lawyer to protect consumers.
So what he's saying is I went back and reread these cases that you're citing as precedent to do this. And every one of those cases said that the Attorney General needs more power to protect consumers, to protect civil rights, and to protect the environment.
Not banks for making a profit.
Not banks for making a profit. Right. He's saying what those cases you're citing don't apply here is what he's saying, because that's what they were for, those cases. This case isn't for that. Here we go.
Civil rights and the environment. And so again, with that sort of historical backdrop to this law, how do we draw a line or at least put up some guardrails to know when the
district attorney general, right? That's what that DAG is?
Mm-hmm.
AG is operating well within her admittedly broad sphere of 6312.
So how do we know when she's operating within the law, the attorney general, Letitia James, and when she's going into an area and when she's operating outside the law?
We asked George Soros, I think.
And so here.
And when she is going into an area that wasn't intended for her jurisdiction.
So the judges, it seemed, in unison, they're all calling out this garbage case.
It's weird. I'm not a judge, and yet I knew the case. It's not hard to understand.
It's right.
Actually pretty easy to understand. But you'd be surprised how many people didn't understand and smugly did the Jon Stewart smug, cutesy liberal thing of like, yeah, but honesty is important.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's not going to hold up. I wasn't upset about it when I said to him. And, oh, look, I was right. And I don't know shit about the law. How did I put it together, Jimmy?
Trump did the equivalent of what Jon Stewart was pretending Trump did was violate some huge law. The same thing Jon Stewart did, by the way. He inflated the value of his property to sell it.
The way real estate
works. It's like when you want to sell a car.
Because banks are in on it. The banks are in on it.
That's right. When you want to sell a car, you put the highest price on it, and then you negotiate down. That's how it works. That's not a crime.
There's a lemon law if you get screwed on the deal.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you entered in and didn't know about the car, and then the car turned you a profit. How would the law even get involved in that?
Right, yeah. So, $500 million fraud judgment. That's what the judge gave. A $500 million judgment against Trump called troubling by the New York appeals judge. Now, I'm not a law surgeon, but I do know that generally when appeals court calls a decision troubling, they mean complete horseshit and is going to be overturned.
Yeah, because they haven't made the decision yet, right?
No, not yet.
So that's not a good sign.
No, not a good sign. A New York appeals panel has reportedly signaled, well, that's what we just watched, is them signaling their skepticism towards a $500 million fraud conviction brought against former President Donald Trump earlier this year. New York Attorney General Letitia James successfully brought civil fraud charges against President Trump earlier this year, securing a $354 million judgment against the latter, plus an additional $100 million in interest.
How much did the bank make working with Trump? Was
right.
it at least more than that? Or was it less?
Now, a New York appeals panel seems doubtful that Trump's conviction is legally sound.
You don't say.
Judge Peter Moulton reportedly questioned if James' lawsuit morphed into something it was not meant to do. We just played that for you.
No, it was always meant to be that.
Specifically, Moulton remarked that nearly $500 million requested of Trump is an immense penalty. That is troubling. Why? Just because it makes no sense to penalize the least corrupt real estate deal in the history of real estate deals?
At very least, tri-state area.
Trump lawyers have consistently held the charges and subsequent conviction are unjustifiable and often criticized by Attorney General James and trial judge Arthur Engoron during the civil trial. Trump himself even took to social media during the trial to criticize Judge Engoron's handling of expert evidence. This is the guy. That guy. I'm surprised Trump just didn't criticize the way the guy looks, because looking at that picture, look at it. Tell me he doesn't diddle kids.
Yeah.
Tell me he doesn't eat kids.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I don't know.
Tell me that guy doesn't eat kids. Tell me. I'm
Look at that
asking you.
face.
Tell me.
I don't know the man. I'm just looking at a picture of a guy that eats kids.
The highly political Trump-hating judge just stated that expert testimony is not evidence. This is what Trump said. Well, that means that every trial in America his history has to be thrown out and started all over again, said Trump. Trump's New York civil fraud case is one of the several legal battles he's dealing with in anticipation of the November 2024 elections.
And Goran said that's not evidence, really?
He really
said
did.
that?
He said that expert testimony is not evidence. Well, then why the F did I get 12 COVID shots?
Was that hearsay that I followed?
So here's what John Kremen says. He says, Democrats in panic mode. The appeals court in New York is on the verge of overturning the fraud case against Trump. And one of the judges suggested that the team may well be deserving of sanctions for a malicious prosecution and political interference. Letitia James may have overstepped her prosecutorial authority, and the 5-judge panel appears inclined to toss out the ruling and its almost $500 million fine. The New York appellate argument ended with the state practically begging the 5-panel court not to sanction the attorneys that brought the action against Trump. Their
Please sanction
lawfare
them.
may soon come to an end.
Please sanction them. Please sanction them.
Please sanction
Please-
them.
Please do that. I love it. How long now for last, like, how many years have the walls been closing in, supposedly? And every idiot I know who thinks Trump is the focal point of every evil in the world is like, this time they got him. And this is
Yeah.
Bill
Maher says they let him go. They got him off the hook because he didn't do anything.
By the way, Bill, if that's the crime you get him on, that's the crime they're getting him on. I can't believe how innocent Trump is at the end of the day. This is what you have him on, a deal where he didn't commit fraud. And are you kidding? I thought he did all this other bad stuff that I think he might have not done now.
The guy's such a criminal. Why can't you guys find a case of something that he did that's actually a crime? Why is that?
Because they've done that crime.
Right. Because any
At least,
crime that
yeah.
Trump has done, they've also actually done.
Yeah, right. Right, more probably.
Every accusation,
insider trading.
every accusation is a confession. They're saying Trump's going to use the Justice Department to go after his political enemies. That's what they've been doing nonstop since 2020.
Well, that's why they know he's going to do it, because they were real jerks.
That's right. That's how they
Now
know.
He's going to want some get back. He's not, by the way. I want him to, but he's not. We know what he's going to do. He's going to go in, half-ass again. Hopefully something maybe less evil than what we have is there. And by that, I mean, they're not forcing medications into you because Bobby Kennedy.
Right.
But that's all you're getting. You're still going to get the war machine. You're just not going to get it for Ukraine, definitely still for Israel. And at least they're not going to try to get your kids to chop their genitals off as much. At least that will go down slightly. But that's it. There's nobody here that you're voting for out of, I'm voting because I love this guy. If you believe that, you're dumb.
All right. Over to Steph.
All right, Hannah, sir, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Renegade Jedi, deport me to El Salvador, where my mother is from. Please, and thank you. Renegade
Kelly
Jedi.
country might be the spot to go because they rounded up all them gangs.
Right? Fee. I'm a man. My taxpayer money went to killing thousands of innocent civilians, and now I can't afford to drink a barrel-aged bourbon. Fee. Hannah, sir, thank you very much for your generosity. Fernandez, please look up Building Canada's Health Data Foundation and then listen to RFK Jr.'s endorsement speech and Nicole Shanahan's speech. It's all the same thing. Whitney Webb is right. I'll be listening to that, Fernandez. Mac Truck, if Chris Christie didn't suck so hard, New Jersey would break off into the mid-Atlantic. Mac Truck. Hannah, sir, to those in the chat, if you don't want to hear about childhood trauma, then you'll never be part of the solution or get closer to understanding any of our problems. All you're doing is stoking your anger uselessly. Hannah, sir. Grasshopper, everybody on Epstein's list supports Kamala for president. F. Hazao, I heard that Biden immediately endorsed Kamala as a fuck you to Obama for pushing him out. Obama wanted to do his Obama magic and slide in Kelly. Now they're stuck with Kamala. F. Hazao.
So
back to Jim.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit
Isn't it swell? The memes make themselves. They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison. But they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators. And they're going to have riots on their hands. They're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. We have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, what we need, what needs to be done. And, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, this system and those backing the officials running this system, want people to believe that revolution means violence, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. When people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where do you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. They get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. Every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. Men, women, and children were murdered. And not just MOVE babies. What about all of the young men, women, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, by drug pushers? I mean, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, making a quick buck, I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. How long are people going to sit back and beg, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years, all you've gotten is a slap in the face. All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.